Hello, everybody. The good news continues for strategy. I can't contain my excitement. We're going to have a $2 billion buy from the currency Blackhole that was just opened up with Stretch. Stretch, of course, is the new offering. And by the way, of course, Saylor has upsized before. They've upsized many of their offerings, like the converts. They used to upsize him all the time, but I've never quite seen him do 4 times, or I've not seen him get 4 times the demand than what he initially planned. That is tremendous demand for this new Stretch Preferred. It looks like Saylor, of course, is going to be offering a $10 gain or an 11% gain because he's expecting them to price the Series A perpetual Stretch Preferred shares to price them at $90, even though he's telegraphed to the market that this preferred equity, this preferred stock, will be trading at $100 plus or minus $1. This is why I was calling it in my prior video a TradFi stable coin, or another way to say it is a mega stable coin, a stable coin that trades at 100, so a mega stable coin, or a form of a TradFi stable coin aimed at corporations, because this could replace a lot of a commercial paper. And I think some people got it wrong in the former video, thinking I'm calling it a stable coin on crypto rails. This is not what I'm saying. This is not a stable coin on crypto rails. This is a stable instrument, a stable money market, something that does not move, a la stable coin. But it's not a stable coin, obviously, and it's not intended to replace currency. But if we don't see any movement, there should not be a lot of consequences from the bond going up or the bond going down. This is where there's a fundamental distinction between, say, Strike or Strife, where we've seen them move from $80, $85 to 122, 123 in the case of Strike. This is still too volatile for something that aims to replace currency. If you aim to replace currency, if your holding period is going to be 1 month, really the volatility you can only get is plus or minus 1%. And this is what this product is offering. This product is offering plus or minus 1%. The target range will be to trade at $100. And because he can adjust the price every minute, right? Every minute he can either issue a new share or buy back a share, and then of course on top of that, every month he can change the dividend. Because of that, I think he's going to be able to get pretty close to 100. And that right there is very similar to how stable coins do it. If you follow stable coins, they trade at 0.999 or 1.0015 or something like that. It's very, very similar mechanism, but it's a mechanism that is deploying on TradFi rails. So this is why I'm calling it a stable coin for TradFi by a TradFi player, right? Strategy is a TradFi player right now. They're bringing Bitcoin to the TradFi world. And how are they bringing Bitcoin to the TradFi world? Well, they of this, Blackhole strategy, siphon strategy, whatever you want to call it, backed by the conviction of the biggest Bitcoin bull out there, which is Michael Saylor. Michael Saylor is not like CleanSpark selling Bitcoin to fund the operation. This is not like Iron selling all of the Bitcoin to go after another opportunity. Saylor will never sell Bitcoin. He's already said, even his personal stack of Bitcoin, which is in the tens of thousands, he's already said, I'm never ever selling. It's going with me to the grave. He said that on CNBC. I'm literally taking the Bitcoin to the grave. This guy will have the company bankrupt before he even considers selling Bitcoin. And of course, if you believe in Bitcoin, you don't think this company is going to go bankrupt. That's the whole point. I've said that caveat many times. How do they go after this siphon, after this black hole? Well, they now have a 5-pronged strategy, 5 instruments. This is the Pentagon. This is the defense of Bitcoin. And you can see, of course, there's reflexivity between each of the assets. So if you sell MSTR stock, you are creating permanent capital. This permanent capital is unpledged, and so it increases the BTC rating of the preferreds. So if you want to improve the BTC ratings of all of these preferreds, you want him to do as much of an MSTR common ATM, because that's how you acquire that permanent capital, by monetizing that MNAV, and everything is all related. Of course, you decrease the BTC rating depending on which of the strike, or the stride ATM you impact, and ATM you release. And so that's why they all impact each other. All of these instruments impact each other. That's why we say they are reflexive. But there is one instrument that doesn't impact them directly. There is one instrument that is only a one-way impact, and that is Bitcoin. The money as a one-way street to Bitcoin. So whenever you get the money, it goes straight to Bitcoin. And of course, MSTR sometimes, the issue of a common or the issue of either is sometimes used to pay the dividend. That's another point. But always it goes straight to Bitcoin. Each of these instruments is designed to grow the bag of Bitcoin. The point, asset by market caps. He's opening a black hole. Of course, STRC, right? Stretch, the TradFi stable coin of MSTR, of course, is going to compete for some of the money market funds and for some of the short-term bonds, very short-term bonds that don't move much, and for some of the commercial paper, which are just bonds under 1 year that companies buy, of course. But you can see that's only half of the story. The other half of the story is competing against money sitting in bank accounts. That's the 18 trillion sitting in bank accounts. Well, some of that money, in my view, might be sitting in Stretch. And if some of that money is sitting in Stretch, sitting in that mega stable coin that's trading at $100 at all times, well, that's akin to opening a black hole in the currency segment, which Saylor estimates at 130 trillion in the Bitcoin 24 model. Of course, US bank accounts are just one of the form of the iceberg. There's much more currency, especially you have bank accounts that are held abroad, which is another big deal. Anyways, moving on to the last point that I want to say in this video is that so of course the yield is already going to decrease when this stock goes to 100. But what if we move to a low interest rate environment again, like I think we will? And what if the rates drop because we move into that interest rate environment? But what if the credit rating of Stretch increases, right? As we get the credit rating agencies to start, rating all of these instruments, as these instruments become more and more common, eventually I stand to believe that Stretch will have a credit rating which will even further reduce the yield. Well, in that situation, the stock Stretch should go up. And the only thing that could potentially prevent Stretch from going up is going to be to keep issuing Stretch on the secondary offering. Keep printing new shares so that it always stays below 101, so that you always lower that yield. And that yield naturally is going to lower as the asset stays below 101. And every month on the 15, he will be able to lower that dividend. And so eventually that instrument should closely match the yield that you get in a money market fund or a money market account. And in some bank accounts, but most private corporations don't have these bank accounts. But some private individuals sometimes can get a checking account that will yield you 4%. Although the banking lobby is very much against that, and that's also why we don't even have that in stable coins, because the banking lobby was like, okay, well, in the Genius Act you can have 4%. Anyways, this is a long-winded video to tell you just that I'm very excited about the fact that they 4x'd it. We are gonna get a huge Bitcoin buy. Maybe not next week, because I know there's a little bit of delay, but the week after next week in early August, we should get a pretty major Bitcoin buy on this one. And so maybe a little less ATM, and some of you will be very happy about that. So anyways, this was not investment advice, not financial advice. This is only entertainment. I'm hoping you were entertained. Please like, please subscribe, follow me on Patreon, follow me on X. Thank you for watching, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.